All right, we are live. Great day, everybody. Welcome to another incredible episode of the Jim Gale Show. I'm extremely excited to be here, blessed and feeling grateful for all the awesome things happening in our lives. As always, my good friend, Mr. Jim Gale. Great to see you, buddy. How are you?
Matthew, I'm having a smile from ear to ear. Just got news this morning that the warden and the Florida Department of Corrections are going to put in a food forest with us in the prison. They're going to allow us to basically use permaculture principles to teach the inmates permaculture and to help the inmates grow all of their own food in the prison grounds. Now, this is a big deal because when we can show what will happen when we have mass adoption of this logic, well, it will reduce crime more than 50% over the next 4 years. I'm talking about the recidivism rates around the country when prisons and prisoners grow their own food using permaculture principles. It's been done. This is not a hypothetical solution to crime reform, prison reform. It's been done, and it's super exciting. So anyway, I'm just amazed at how it's all coming together.
That is fantastic. And what a difference in the lives of these people this will truly make. And, you referenced the recidivism. It's we've looked at some studies on that. And remember, it was like from over 60% to a reduction of under 10% just by integrating really nature into these systems. And what a phenomenal transformation that is. And just empowering, because now it's giving people a new passion and purpose and caring for something other than them, which then really helps them move forward and reintegrate back into life successfully in a big way. So awesome. Well done.
Congratulations.
And we got an awesome guest with us today, someone that I first heard on the Mike Adams show, and I decided to reach out to him. He's now become, a new partner of ours, good friend, and someone that's going to add really lots of value overall to what we're doing here with his experience. Our friend Kevin Fritz with Patriot Green Products. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here. Thank you both you and Jim.
Well, yeah, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, my awesome. Pleasure. Yeah, looking forward to working with you guys. You guys are doing fantastic work. Happy to back you up and support you on that. It's really, really important stuff that we're all doing.
Yeah, and you as well. I mean, that's the thing is when we come together when all of us conscious people, awake people, and even people who aren't awake, but when we can inspire people to grow food, take the poisons out, and to live free again, gosh, together we win.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, that's certainly one of my passions and has been my passion for over 30 years, which has led to me being here today in Texas. So
what got you started?
Pardon me?
What got you started on this mission, this journey?
Well, you know how God works in mysterious ways. So I'm a farm boy, lived on a small farm in Canada, north of Niagara Falls. And I was poisoned as a young child and almost died at age of 17 due to water poisoning, which had sewage and chemicals in it. The whole family got sick and I was very, very ill. So I challenged this for over 20 years because of that. And I overcame all of those things. And I was seeking to find solutions so that no one else would ever have to endure what I went through, which led me ultimately to move to the West Coast to British Columbia. And because it was waste related, I thought, pollution is waste related and we need to combat pollution. I mean, there's all this talk about the climate and everything. Well, pollution is number one enemy to the world right now, in my opinion. We need to stop poisoning the planet. So I thought, well, who would know more about waste than a waste management company? So I moved to British Columbia and I ended up landing with the second largest waste and recycling company in the world. And I was fortunate enough to learn about paper, plastic, glass, metal, and all those things they were segregating and separating because I was in the systems division. But I also was fortunate enough to work on a pilot program in Vancouver that was in 1991. which was the first commercial pilot in North America to divert food waste and green materials from the landfills. So worked on that for a couple years in Canada. Then they brought me down to California in '93 because they were launching a new division that was commercial composting. The state of California passed a mandate known as AB 939, and the landfills were filling up and closing, and 30% of what was going in the landfill was organic. So I landed a position with their organics division in Irvine, California, and that was sort of the beginning of the career in the United States. But working with them for 1 year, I was troubled with what I saw, to say the least. You know, with all good intentions, they were collecting green materials from the communities and diverting it from landfills and composting. However, what they were not thinking about when they were doing that was the fact that all those materials, or many of those materials, would be contaminated with herbicides and pesticides, because people manage their yards and they go to Home Depot and they'll buy a bottle of poison to get rid of a weed versus pulling it out. So they had a lot of challenges with those materials. There was everything and anything in it. I mean, there were diapers in the material. There were all sorts of nasties in the material coming in. So seeing this, I was troubled with it. And I thought, my goodness, how can we send this to a park or to a farm? Just wrong.
Yeah.
So they ended the program after 1 year. And then I founded my own research and development company that I ran for 20 years. And I set standards. Before organic standards were launched, which would have been in around 1995, we were already working on these things. So seeking to ensure that we were sending materials back out into the communities that are safe for the people and for the environment, I sought the help of the Ministry of Environment in Canada, because I was, at that time, I was still a Canadian citizen. I've since become an American citizen and proud to be one in 2003. But I sought their help because their standards were 10 times more stringent than the US EPA standards.
Wow.
So I thought, as a competitive advantage, it's best to be the best in the market. So I adopted their standards, worked with local agronomic suitability labs, adopted them. And then how I was able to meet the standards were the feedstocks going into the product. We would not allow any grasses or anything that's low to the ground waste to go into our products. We focus primarily on arborist materials, tree trimmings, leafy greens, that type of thing. And we were able to meet and exceed their standards, which were 10 times more stringent than the US EPA. So then I felt that the way to combat some of those poisonous products and keep them out of our communities was to go to the specifiers, go work with the architects, landscape architects, parks and recreation departments, and go give them an education about the good, bad, and ugly of what's coming to a neighborhood near you, unbeknownst to you, and the difference between who we are and what is out there currently. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people really don't realize when they go to a store and buy a bag of compost, what's in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not really good. And some of it is called certified organic too. So for us, we believe that to create a quality product, you must start with quality feedstocks going into the process. The old saying is, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. It's very true. So we have the best products in the market. Over the past 30 years, I've been very fortunate to meet people like Dr. Elaine Ingham of Soil Food Web, who was my mentor and teacher. I met her in Las Vegas when I was giving a lecture because our company supplied all of the products to all the major hotels in Las Vegas. We were the first ones in. And I was fortunate to meet her. She was giving a lecture. I was giving a lecture. When I heard her work, I was like, a light went off in my head. You know, I had already had to study some agronomic chemistry because, of course, if you're selling to farms and you're selling to growers, you need to understand how the lab reports read. And what if I didn't know something, I certainly had the lab to back me up. But I hadn't studied any of the living systems that were going on below ground, known as the food web, which was her thesis back in 40 plus years ago. So after learning this, I thought, wow, this is a solution. This is truly permaculture. It's how nature works. And now we have some science to back it up. So now we can go out and help so many people across the country and around the world to feed themselves, their families, and clean up the environment while we do it.
Oh man, that sounds so good to me.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah,
And
it's
it's
a lot
so
of fun.
logical. It's just it's a no-brainer on every level to do this, right?
You would think. I mean, our communities have been programmed, of course, over the years to do things a certain way. So you can't really blame them for not taking these approaches because they're not familiar with these approaches. The other part is when we came to Texas a year and a half ago, after all of these years of work, and we founded Patriot Green Products. And the reason we call it Patriot Green is because A, we're patriots. We love our country. We love our independence. And we also, my wife and I are both from veteran families. I had prisoners of war in my family and Burma and all sorts of things that I've learned about. I wanted to be a veteran. I wanted to go into the military or go into law enforcement. Unfortunately, my injuries prevented me from doing that, but my heart has always been with them and I really appreciate them. So we want to support them in any way we can by giving them jobs, helping them with their yards, giving them discounts on products, doing whatever we can to help our veterans, first responders, and helping adults with disabilities as well. That's who we are as a company. We're a great company. So we're very, honored to be able to work with you folks as well so that we can help your customers.
I love it. I love it. One of the things we've been talking about, food forest abundance, that we're very into the patriot and the freedom movement, the voluntarist movement. Have you gotten any pushback or have you lost any customers because of the word patriot in your name?
I have had people ask me, what do you mean by calling yourself a patriot? What does patriot mean to you?
Yeah.
And I've told them, well, I lived in Canada for 30 years under a socialistic government. I left Canada and came to the United States and I became an American citizen. And I became an American citizen for a reason, because it wasn't Canada. And for Americans that don't quite understand that, unless you live in a country where you don't have all of the freedoms and luxuries that we have in this country, you don't have a reference point. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans take their freedom for granted. I don't. And I believe in what the founding fathers believed in this country, and I know why people fought. Amen, brother. That's awesome. I got to get one of those.
Yes, thank you. Tag gave me this, and it's my favorite hat. So
nice.
What I've experienced, and I've played it both ways, back 15, 16 years ago, starting a community and not talking about freedom and voluntarism and patriotism. I attracted some people that later became shysters. And so what I've found is that the people that are attracted to our message, that resonate with the idea that you're conveying in your title, they're good people to work with.
Amen. Yeah, that's what I found. Everybody that we are working with that care about that, we're all on the same page. The other thing that I've learned is that I've looked at American politics differently probably than most Americans, because you're in one party or their other party, or you're an independent, what have you. So looking in from the outside, coming from a different country, I say to myself, wow, divided you fall, united you stand. We need to all come together somehow and start working together. The forces at hand are trying to divide us as a country. And, the environment's a good example. I mean, I'm very conservative in many of my values. I'm a Christian man, and, my mom taught us really great values. But I'm also an environmentalist, a real one, because I've suffered because of pollution. But I also understand from a capitalistic standpoint and a conservationist standpoint that if we have programs out there, they need to make economic sense to be able to implement these things, because if they don't make economic sense, then it's another government program. And generally speaking, government programs, those are the programs I lived in up north. And those programs, I'm not a big believer in that. There's a reason why everybody comes to the United States, right? They're all coming to our borders. Why? Because it's the best country on earth. That's why. So I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to work with you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to work together on your mission.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I've been to 47 countries, and I have lived in several other places, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. I love Costa Rica. I love Nicaragua, but I love here more. I really do.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it on earth. That's why everybody comes here.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing and how we're going to help each other and help your clients.
I love it. So as everybody knows here, we inspire and empower people to grow food, and then we stack all the layers. We shine a light on people like you, on products like yours, so that more people can be aware of it, and that we can even design these products into our designs where it makes sense, which it mostly does. Right? So that's what we're all about. We have no patents, no NDAs, no non-competes. Everything we do is open source. Every video we create, everything out there, it's about let's inspire people, because one thing we recognize is there's a war going on. And some people call it a war of politics. Other people call it a war of good and evil. Some people see it as a war of AI against humanity. All of those perspectives, the solution to all of that is self-reliance, taking the poisons out and using our resources wisely. So how would we best integrate your products into everything we do?
Well, that's great. And how we do that is we help support you with your projects by, in some cases, if we're planting into the ground, we can do custom mixes for you. Because if you're putting it into existing soil, we want to know what the chemistry and the biology is going in, so that we can help to create something that is natural, organic, and healthy right from the get-go, right from the ground up. We have to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. The other thing is educating our clients, your clients, our clients, about the food web and why the food web is so important, and using compost teas, and why compost teas are so very important in maintaining what you're growing for disease suppression and providing nutrients that are needed for your plants to be healthy. Composting. Our company has food waste dehydration equipment. We teach people how they can convert their food waste at home into fertilizer that they can put in their gardens. We also have products that are ready to plant directly into. So you can order it. It's shipped right to your home or your whatever project you're at in a super sack, like a 1,300-pound super sack. And simply move that from the super sack into your raised bed planters if you choose to plant in raised beds, and you're ready to go. You're ready to plant, along with a maintenance protocol. So that's why I'm very excited about what you guys are doing, because you build it, and then we can help people to learn how to maintain it on their own so they can be self-reliant.
Man, I love that. So let's do a fun example. And I know you need testing and stuff, but we're here in Central Florida, and we had to dig out a pond, and we used this ground 16 months ago. This was just sand. It was white Florida sand that came from an average of 10 feet underground. So it had very little life in it. And now it's a rocking food forest. What would be the process of helping? Because we started this way before we met you. So if we'd have met you ahead of time, what would have been your suggestions or ideas or products to help turn the sand into life-giving soil?
Yeah, I would say that what we do is, first thing we do is we test it to see what it is. Its chemistry, then its percolation qualities, sand, silt, and clay ratios. Then we would test it for its biology. And then we would compare to what it is you're wanting to grow in. And then our objective would be to provide some organic material to the soil, appropriate amounts based upon lab work, and plant other plants that are plants that you can grow together, nitrogen fixating plants, cover crops, things like that is what we would do.
Okay.
Probably what you did.
I cut out for a second there. That sounds great. That's permaculture. It's testing and then adapting to whatever the environment is, and stacking the best life-giving systems in.
Yes.
So
Amen. Beautiful
awesome.
work there you did, Jim. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
What are those coconuts? What are those?
Papaya.
Papayas. Wow, they're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love.
It's a lot of fun.
Kevin, do you guys help bring in like other like worms and other life-giving things that would go into the soil to really help with that food web? And secondary on that question, you did touch on what the soil food web is briefly, but maybe if you can go into a little more detail on what that is and why it's so important to the success of growing any plants.
Yeah, so first of all, we always want to make sure that we're not bringing invasive species into any environments. So if we're going to bring worms in and things like that, they're going to be worms that are native to that environment, which is what we try to practice. So what is the soil food web? Well, to understand what the soil food web is, to understand what happens in a natural forest. Wow, look at you, Jim. You're all shaded out and comfy.
I love this spot.
That's amazing. Yeah. So in a natural forest system, you think about how does a natural forest system maintain itself? How does it fertilize itself? How does it prevent the river running beside it from being polluted with nitrates and phosphates and things like that? Well, it's because of what lives below ground and its association with what is above ground. So through photosynthesis, the sun's energy is captured by the plant, and the leaves are its solar panels, and that energy is pushed down into the earth in form of carbohydrates or sugars. So the reason it does that is because it's feeding what's below ground. It's feeding the bacteria and the fungi and the protozoas and the beneficial nematodes, and then there's what starts to come above ground, which are the crawly critters, the microarthropods, centipedes, beetles, all of those living creatures. They play a role in managing that system, recycling the organic waste when the leaves fall to the surface of the forest floor. They're consumed, and that's given back to the very tree that produced the leaves in the first place. So it's a circular program. It's around and around and around. There's no waste. And then those very same organisms create biofilters in the soil. So now we can eliminate pollution and runoff. If we replicate what's happening in nature using good science, we can stop all the runoff going into the ocean, into the rivers, and into our lakes, and make healthier growing environments. So that's what the soil food web is to me. Was that a good explanation?
Yes. Yeah, great.
Awesome.
It's exponential life, because then you're also filtering the water that's going into the rivers, so there's more fish, and then I like to make it people aware in the most simple terms. When we take the poisons out of the system,
yes,
right? If that's all we did, what do you think would happen over the next generation if all we did were take all the poisons out of the system?
We got much healthier people. Much healthier people. I mean, a lot of people don't really understand why we were using chemicals in the first place. And interesting, because when I started my career, I had to learn about history. Even though I was raised on a farm, we were just a small family farm. We weren't producing, large production of fruits or vegetables, but we had adequate food always. My mom did canning, and we had freezers, and we gave food away to the neighbors. We always had abundance of food. My mom always said, when things go bad, we'll be okay because we have lots of food, because we know how to grow food. But when I started my professional career in doing this, I had to go and really look back at history and understand when and why did we move away from permaculture? Why did we do it? Well, as you know, after World War II, we had bomb munitions left over, nitrogen and phosphorus, which they used those things in bombs. So, of course, we had production capabilities, and some brilliant chemists got together and said, plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Perhaps we can make plants grow. And not only did it work, they were getting 3 to 5 times more yield off the same piece of land, except with diminishing returns over time. So yes, it grew food quicker, but then they had issues with farmers saying, yes, I'm getting more growth, but this particular season I'm seeing stunted growth. and I don't understand what's going on. I did everything you told me. I did my prescription and, put it in the soil, and it's not working. Well, then they came in and they tested the soil to find out that they had invited disease into the soil. So root feeding nematodes and other things show up. So then they created another product called an nematicide, where they poison everything in the soil. So they consider in chemical agriculture, soil is a medium to hold the plant up. It's basically a large petri dish, the farm is. And so all of the beneficial life has been burned out and killed for the most part in soils that have been chemically managed over years. And those soils don't have the ability of holding on to nutrients anymore, which is why we have all of this, nitrate runoff in our rivers and into our ocean and lakes. So the way our grandparents did it, they were doing it correctly. And I'd say the big lie is that they've said, oh, we can't feed the world unless we have all of this land to be able to do it. And the truth be known, it's not about volume. It's about nutritional density. It's about quality. So,
Yes.
one apple in 1940, how many apples would you have to eat today to compare the nutritional density of that one apple? Yeah,
Is it 5?
It's more than that. I think it's like 15
5
or so.
6?
Yeah, in some
Oh,
cases, you can't even do it because it's just, if it's lacking, it's lacking. So
Yeah.
the truth be known, that the future of food, which you guys are already on that path, and we are as well, and Dr. Ingham, is that when you grow food in the correct soil and you have the correct life, you're going to have nutritional density in that food. Higher protein values, vitamins, and minerals, all in the soil, from the soil. It all begins in what you grow it in. So that's our focus. We want to grow good, healthy crops for our American family and help the environment and help people become sustainable at Patriot Green Products.
Yeah, you make such a good point there about the nutrient density and how, the things that come today at the grocery store, in the box, in the bag, in the can, there's no nutrient density there. It's ultimately death food, but we've been fooled into thinking this is what we need to survive because it's impossible to grow the food, right? We've got this food scarcity ceiling that they continue to talk about. We can't feed the world unless we convert all this property into farming production, but those systems are broken. It's causing people to be sick. It's harming us and harming the environment. And whether we believe the climate change narrative or not, the reality is we're damaging our environment. And that damage to the environment has had ripple effects much further than we've ever really calculated before. The detriment is massive. However, the solutions are very simple, as Jim always goes back to. If we just inspire enough people to start caring for our resources, using our resources wisely, working in harmony with nature, we can make these simple changes that will solve many of the world's greatest problems. And by doing so, by working with companies like yourself and other great organizations that we're collaborating with, and we rebuild the soil food web, and we let nature do what it's designed to do, we can very quickly bring back that nutrient density into our foods, which then also have that ripple effect into the healthcare system. We ease the burden on that system because we now have healthier people, and those healthier people think better. They have more energy and life force in them, so they become more productive, contributing members of our society. And that cycle repeats. Very empowering.
With you 150% on all of those points, Matt. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, why do people get sick? It's all connected. It all starts with soil first, and then what comes out of the ground, and we consume. And if you're consuming something that has nothingness in it, your human body tells you, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, because you really are. And then many times people will offset those hunger pains with carbohydrates. They start eating a lot of bread, because it makes the hunger pain go away. Unfortunately, it converts to sugar, and then you're feeding diabetes at that point. And then, of course, the same industries, it's interesting that the same industries that are in the pharmaceutical industry happen to be the same ones that are growing the crops. So
and in the chemical industry too.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they've created a circle. I mean, it's a very profitable circle for them, but we've created a circle as well. And our circle is in balance, and we make peace with nature and learn from nature so that we can, give back to our families and keep our families healthy. I mean, my goodness, what's going in the mouths of our children? A lot of nasty stuff, and they'll end up with problems down the road. So best to keep them healthy, live in a healthy environment, create a healthy environment. The other thing we're doing, incidentally, is, we love helping farmers and ranches to participate in what we're doing. We're helping one in Santa Barbara right now in California through our consulting company, which is Green Earthology. And so we're helping them to become a boutique soil blending operation so that they can make the extracts for compost teas so that they can then sell that into their markets in the farming market. And it brings revenue to their farms that they would not normally have had. And then they actually make materials for our company too. So we buy product back for them, subject to it being lab tested to ensure it's meeting quality standards. But, we have partners in Florida. Jim, you're going to end up meeting our partners in Florida here real quick.
I want to be your partner in Florida.
Well, you are my partner in Florida.
We are. So what you just said is scalable. The
Yes.
people that you're working with creating these things, we want to add this to every Freedom Farm Academy because, you could do a 50-gallon bucket of compost tea for 5 minutes of effort once you have $100 worth of parts.
Right.
And you can buy compost tea online right now for $30 per gallon. So
Right.
$1,500 worth. Of course, we bring the price down by 80%. So now a gallon is $6 instead of $30. And now everybody can logically afford to buy this stuff because it will enhance their yield significantly.
Exactly. The other thing we do is we sell the tea brewers. We sell both in-home tea brewers, which are small 5-gallon versions, and we supply everything with that. It comes with the pumps and the tea bags and the tea mix to use. It comes with all of it. And we also sell commercial size tea brewers from 30 gallons up to 1,500 gallons for ranches and farms as well. So, and then our production partner that's coming up in Florida, he's flying out to Texas here this week. He has currently 15 composting facilities throughout Florida.
Wow.
And he's been taking Dr. Ingham's courses as well, understanding the importance of food web. So we're real blessed to be able to have him because now our reach can go pretty much to the entire East Coast.
Oh my God. We want to do a composting facility here, and I'd love to talk with you about the 1,500-gallon compost tea brewer because we've got a school opening up here, and the students of the school are going to be managing our nursery, and they are going to be profiting from the nursery. So it'll be the first school model that I'm aware of in the world that is financially regenerative. It supports itself.
Yep. Very, very important. Like you'd mentioned earlier about the prison system.
Yeah.
I'm happy to work with you on all of those things. I've designed composting facilities, commercial composting facilities in California, to be education centers too. Because people need to understand the process from cradle to cradle of bringing the materials in and seeing it go through its process and being converted into ultimately fertilizer to go back into the ground, and understanding the importance of clean feedstocks coming in, the lab work that has to be done. It's not guesswork. We have to actually know that we're doing it the right way. And then where you can use the finished products and how you apply them in agriculture and in horticulture.
Man.
So yeah, I'd love to work with you on that. Absolutely.
That is so exciting, Kevin. Oh my gosh.
So we get people asking about, my yard or my farm has been poisoned. What can I do about that? Can I bring my soil health back? And what is, I think I know the answer, but what's your answer on this?
Well, actually, it's a good question. I'm actually helping a lady right now that seems to have some cadmium poisoning in her soil. And her trees are dying. They've become diseased. They have brown spots disease now. So yes, we can address those issues. Biologically, we can address those issues. Generally speaking, when the soil's been poisoned, it's been poisoned with chemicals. So we need to have a biological approach to biodegrading those chemicals into harmless byproducts. So biology is very important. So testing it first to know exactly what it's contaminated with, and then we can make a custom biological tea to start treating the soil to manage it. We can also manage it using something called phytoremediation. So certain plants, mustard plants, various different plants in nature have the ability of pulling heavy metals out of the soil. So between bioremediation and phytoremediation, we can clean up soils. Absolutely. Yep.
Beautiful.
So beautiful. Wow. Well, we've got a lot of play to do. Building the Garden of Eden, building this type of place is pure joy. And I'm glad we're on the same team, buddy.
Yes, sir. Happy to work with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun, and seeing that we can help a lot of families out there. So,
and when can you come and stay in one of our Airbnbs?
Well, as soon as possible. I have to go to the West Coast the second week of August, but I would love to plan a trip to come out and visit with y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
So, see, I'm saying y'all now. I live in Texas, so I'm y'all.
I love it.
Proud to be a Texan too. Texas is great.
You've lost the Canadian A.
Hey, yeah. That would be a strange accent, wouldn't it? Y'all, eh?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And where can people find you, Kevin?
They can find us by going to www.patriotgreenproducts.com. Go online, and if we're setting it up so that if you order any products through us and you put in a special code, which is FFA10, you're going to get a 10% discount on anything you buy off of our website.
Awesome.
And thanks to Jim and Matt and everything that you guys are doing and introducing us to your audience.
Yeah. Oh, big time. So much more to come, buddy. And by the way, before you come, if your partner can come, your Florida team,
yes,
I'd love to get some of these things integrated, because we've got such massive momentum right now. And the more eyes, the more functional systems that we can get here to demonstrate what's possible, the better.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. In fact, he's going to be here tomorrow. He's flying into Austin. Spend a couple days with him, and I'll put a call together so I can introduce y'all to him, and then we can arrange to get him down to visit with you. Beautiful. So yeah, he's excited. He's very excited. It was kind of a blessing that he found me through Dr. Ingham on her website, and we're just completely on the same page. He's been in this space for many years. It's a family-run business, and he's also venturing into the biochar areas too, so that we can manage some of these organic materials that we would prefer not to put into compost, so that we can clean that up, which is important. Wow, what do you got there, Jim?
These are quadratas. They're like little types of bananas.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really sweet. And they're good even green. They can be made into these like a potato. It's really good.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Fabulous. As I mentioned to you guys that we invested in a property in Texas, and we're going to convert this property into a food forest, and we're going to educate people on it, and we'll do a show here sometime. You can come on out and we'll do a whole show about food forest.
I love it. I love it. Discovery, the Discovery show, Modern Homestead, which comes out in about 45 days, was just here for 3 days shooting an episode. Yeah, maybe we can get one in Texas as well.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Love to get you out of here. We'll bring you to our site, show you where all the materials are processed. The materials that we were very lucky to have, I mentioned on Mike Adams' show, ultimately came from a pine forest that unfortunately burned, and they had to remove it and process it, and it's 13 years old. So the beauty of having compost that's 13 years old is it's sort of like wine. The older it is, the better it is. So the chemistry is perfect. Mike tested it. It's very, very good material. It's permaculture at its best, right? So
Love it.
yeah, we want to use it and help people, as many people as we can across the country like this. Because right now, you would agree that we all need to start planting food, because what is coming is going to be probably fairly disturbing for some people that don't have the ability of practicing self-reliance.
Yes.
So we're here to help them to do that.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources to help people learn about how to compost?
Well, we do consulting, and there are lots of resources online.
Yeah.
Backyard composting versus commercial composting are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Commercial composting is using a lot of heat, and backyard composting is more of a colder process.
Okay.
Worm composting, we really like to support worm composting because it really is just the best of the best. The mention earlier about the food waste dehydration equipment, we're about to launch a under-the-counter food waste dehydrator that you put all your vegetable waste in, and it will cook it, dehydrate it, grind it. It comes out 10% of what you put in comes out as nutrient-dense material, and then you feed that to your earthworms, or you can blend it in with your finished compost, and it's putting the nutrients right back where they're supposed to go, right in the ground. So there's no waste, which is very helpful for folks if they want to make their own fertilizer at home.
Yeah.
We're excited about that.
Love it. Well, we are too.
Amen.
Awesome, my friend. Well, everybody listening, please share this video. Let's spread the word. When Kevin said it's time to grow food, there's so many things happening around the world with fertilizers and with big ag and with farms shutting down and with chickens and cows and pigs being culled. It's simply time to enjoy the process of growing food. And I'm not a farmer, and I'm never going to be a farmer. I simply am a harvester. You put the energy in on the upfront, you build the soil, and you put the guilds together, and then forevermore, we've got a food forest that we don't even have to maintain. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing what you've done back there, Jim, and amazing what you guys are doing all over the country, around the world. I'm blown away with what you're doing. So I want to be able to add to and make it even better, so that everybody, we want people to have success when they're growing. And we're helping people right now here in Texas that are putting gardens in. And quite honestly, they really don't know what to do. And they go to Home Depot or other stores seeking advice. And oftentimes they fail because there's a proper way of doing this. And once you know how to do it, you can do it on your own, but you have to learn the basic principles if you want to grow healthy food. It all begins in healthy soils, chemistry and biology. So that's what we're here to help with. Yeah. So very excited to work with you guys. It's going to be great. Awesome. And look forward to meeting a lot of your followers. So
our community. It's
our
a beautiful
community. Yes. From sea to shining sea, right?
Yes. All over the world. This is, one thing I'd like to leave with is the idea that food security is when our neighbors have enough food and we also have enough food, right? Amen. That's why it's so important. If I have food and my neighbors don't have food, then I might have food security, but I need a security team to secure my food. So let's help our neighbors grow food.
Amen to that. And just to add to it, we are in California, we're in Texas, we're in Florida, and we're about to open up operations in Utah as well. So we've got you covered, guys. Got you covered.
All right, my friend.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to talk with you. We're extremely excited about this partnership and the value that you'll add. It's a beautiful fit. Your life experience has led us here today and fits like a glove. So onward and upward together. Very exciting. Thank you.
Awesome,
ciao, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah. Bye.
All right.
All right. Good stuff, buddy.